Hi everyone, I'm Holly and I'm an adult services librarian at the Westmont Public Library, and today I am joined by my colleague Sandra, and we are going to be talking all things tarot cards today. So thank you for joining me, Sandra. Welcome.
Thank you, Holly. I'm glad to be here.
So we're going to talk about tarot cards. So I just have a list of questions, and we can just kind of have a little conversation about tarot. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right, so let's just get started. So first, can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got into tarot cards?
Sure. So as Holly said, my name is Sandra. I'm an assistant reference librarian at Westmont, although you've probably seen me at the circ desk a lot. I started getting into tarot probably when I was around 13, 14, so like late middle school, early high school. I always thought they were interesting and I wanted to know more about them, but also my mom didn't like them and thought they were weird, so I think that was also a driving force into me wanting to get into it. And I've just always, like, on and off through the years, I've, lost interest and then picked up interest again, but recently I've just gotten really back into it and just really enjoy all things tarot and kind of the like the meditation benefits and all that kind of stuff that come along with it.
Yeah, I find them really fun too. I've never read them myself, but I do enjoy getting a reading every now and then. So can you give us a little bit of the history and some of the background on tarot cards and some of their meanings?
Sure. So I'm definitely no expert. I just want to put that out there right now. But, tarot cards first kind of appear in the 1500s in Italy, and they weren't used as a fortune-telling device or anything like that. They were just a card game that people would play. A lot of the symbolism on the cards that you see is stuff that would have been really familiar to people at the time, like kings and queens and soldiers and things like that, and chariots. And well, chariots is a little early, but people would still be familiar with it. And there was an article I read actually that was talking about it and how the game would use whatever symbol was on the card, and then the people playing would use that symbol to tell a story about another player. And the article I read likened it to the kids game MASH, where you tell someone's future. So that's kind of where tarot started, was just a game. And it didn't really get its current meaning with occult, fortunes, things like that, until around the late 1800s, early 1900s, here in the United States and in Europe, when the occult and fantasy and seances and all that kind of stuff got really popular. People started using it as a fortune-telling device, and that's kind of been where that's where it's stuck since then.
That's really interesting. I had no idea. Definitely do love the MASH game though. I would always try to count out as the person, because they were drawing their circle, and I would try to count out so that I would get the mansion.
Yeah, the mansion and the guy who was actually your crush, right?
Yes, exactly. So regarding tarot and reading tarot, would you say that it's kind of a natural talent, something that comes naturally to you, or is it something that can be learned?
Definitely learned. I am not 100% sure, or I don't really believe that it is a fortune-telling device, to be honest. I see it more as a meditation technique, and like all meditations, it's something anyone can teach themselves, something anyone can learn. It's definitely, you get what you out of it, what you put into it. So if you want to see it as a fortune-telling device, you definitely can, and you can train yourself to view it as such. But if you want to see it as a way to just introspect and get to know yourself better, you can learn that too. But definitely not natural. I'm bad at meditation in general, so sometimes it's hard for me to get in the mindset, but I really enjoy it. Even though, I don't know the meanings of all the cards off the top of my head, I always look them up. I've never memorized them. Excuse me. I just don't see I would like to memorize them, but I'm not that kind of person. So, I'll Google it on my phone, or I've checked out books from the library that tell you the meanings, and you know, it's not something I know. I have to definitely practice it.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards. There's 80 something cards, is that right?
78.
78. Okay, so yeah, that's a lot to memorize. So I
Yeah.
don't blame you for that. And
It's
I
easy to
definitely
memorize the
find it hard to
ones like,
meditate as well. So I feel you on that.
yeah, it's easy
Sorry,
to
what were you gonna
memorize the
say?
ones that are big. Like, it's easy to know what death means, like,
Yes.
and what, you know, the major arcana is like what death is part of, or the tower. Those are both really negative cards, so I don't know why those are the two that just came to my brain, but
Well, they
it
don't necessarily have to be negative because
they don't.
sometimes it could mean the death of something that needs to go. So,
Yes.
just a situation that you're in, not necessarily,
Hmm.
you're going to
And
die.
actually, the
I hope.
tower is technically more negative than death, which is funny, but well, we can talk about that later.
Okay. So hopefully we don't see the tower at any
Yeah,
point, but,
that's like the one I never want to see.
whatever happens, happens, right?
Hmm.
So how do you and how can others go about gaining skills? Oh, I have a visitor. That's Gunther.
Gunther's a good friend of mine.
Gunther is great. So sorry for Gunther.
No.
He's show off. So anyway, getting back to tarot. How do you and others go about gaining skills in reading the tarot cards?
It comes back to practice. Like I said, I've not memorized the cards. I look them up, but if I wanted to learn how to memorize them, or at least some of them, that would just be something I have to practice. It's not, not to say some people don't have that natural instinct, like you mentioned before, but I don't. And I think most people have to take it in stride and just kind of do it at their pace, and, read when it makes sense for them, and do it for themselves before they do it for others. Definitely is a good way of practicing, because you obviously know yourself a lot better than you would know anyone else. And the cards are easier to learn when you're looking at them through the lens of your life, rather than trying to fit them into somebody else's narrative.
Yeah. I think that kind of goes with anything. I mean, some people have a musical gift and some people don't, but if you practice enough and you want it enough, I'm sure you can get better at it.
Yeah.
So what do you see as a challenge when reading cards, or do you feel like you've made any mistakes when you've read cards before?
I think the biggest mistake most people make when they read cards, and myself included, of course, and then I actually just kind of touched on this, is trying to fit the narrative that you have in your head onto someone else. So this is actually kind of a funny story. I made my husband let me read his cards a few weeks ago, and I drew a card, and it said that the meaning of it was that someone was like secretly depressed, or they were upset with how life was going. And so then I was like, what's wrong? Why are you sad with life? What's going on? He's like, nothing. I don't know what. He's like, just because the card says it doesn't. I'm like, but what's wrong? And so I think that is like the biggest problem, is that a lot of people just try and they think that what the card says is fact, instead of using it as a guide to kind of see, to look, once again, that introspection, to look inside and see, hey, is this something that I may be dealing with, or something I've dealt with in the past that's still upsetting me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's the biggest issue most people have.
Okay. So I really like that you said you made your husband let you read your cards. That goes along with my next question pretty perfectly. So there are some people, I don't know if he's afraid of it or why he didn't want to get them read, but some people are afraid of it. Some people just aren't into it. So what would you say to those people who might be afraid or who are hesitant to try it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are afraid because it has that occult tag with it. And people are like, oh, witches and ghosts and crystals, and I don't know what all this stuff is. Or they've been raised to be told that stuff is evil or bad in some way. But really, and I've mentioned this a couple times, it's a meditation technique first and foremost, in my opinion. So instead of being afraid that the card is going to tell you, like, you're going to die in 10 years, or like, you're going to get fired, that's not going to happen. they aren't that specific, which is a critique of fortune telling in general, is like, oh, it's broad because you can't really tell the future. But I see it as it's broad because it's supposed to fit anyone's life if it pertains to them. So you and I could see the same card and get different things out of it because its definition is so broad. And that's fine because it's us seeing how it affects our lives. And sometimes you pull a card and you just think about it and you're like, this has nothing to do with anything in my life. Okay. And that's just how it goes. It's not the end all be all of what's happening and what's going to happen. It's just a way for you to sit there and meditate and think, okay, so this card, like for example, this morning, I try to do a 1-card draw every morning just to focus in on myself and see what's going on in my life and if anything pops out to me. And the card I drew this morning, it was the Knight of Swords reversed, which is like a warning of getting burned out and doing too much. And I was like, okay, card, I get it. Like, yes, that's me recently because it's just how the world is.
Right.
And so, sometimes it's dead on exact. And I think that's where that idea that it tells the truth comes in, is because sometimes it does really fit your narrative. But it's just a good, like this morning I saw the definition, I looked it up because once again I don't know them all, and I thought, it's like, you know what, I do need to focus more on taking time for me. I need to focus more on not getting freaked out about deadlines and just life in general, which is hard right now, but it was just a good reminder to sit back and trying to think about what is going on in my life. So I think if you're scared of them, that you need to just remember that it's not the end all be all, and it can really help you focus in on things that you want to focus on. So
yeah, so it's kind of like take from it what you will. So if you have a positive mindset, take something positive out of it.
Exactly.
So speaking of some things to ask in specific instances, what are some of the most common questions that people come and ask about?
Definitely love and money. But I think overall, when people ask those kind of questions, I think the real question people ask the cards is just about success in general. Like, is this relationship going to be a success? Am I going to be a success in my job? Am I going to be a financial success? Those, even though it's framed differently, it's not usually framed using the word success. People just want to know that their lives are going to be good. And obviously you can't hold that against anyone. We all want our lives to be good. And we want these cards, or, even if you go into other kinds of fortune telling, like palm reading and things like that, you want it to say good things, because you don't want it to just suddenly have it say, oh, everything's going to get all messed up and everything's going to suck. That's just your life. Because you can dwell on that, even if, it's easy to say, or especially for me, to say, well, I use it as meditation, it's not fortune telling. But if you get a bunch of bad things in a row, it's hard to shake that and feel like, oh, my life is going to be awful, or like this week is going to suck. And so, yeah, people want to know that they're going to be successful. And those are the questions that are most commonly asked. You also don't have to ask a question, though. That's kind of a common misconception. You can do what's called a general reading. So you can ask, like, oh, does this boy like me or girl? And, or, oh, am I going to get a raise? And you can ask those kinds of things. And they say the more specific, the better. But also you don't have to have that question. You can just say, all right, it's today. It's a Thursday. Let's see what's in store. So.
Good to know. Very good to know. I'm going to keep this in mind for the very near future.
Yeah.
So how often do you find people want to get their cards read, and is there such thing as getting them read too often? I know you mentioned you like to do a daily pull, but maybe like a larger spread. Do you kind of want to stay away from that for too often?
Yeah, so I always think back to a good friend of mine from college, because they were one of the ones who got me back into it after high school. They were really adamant about not doing big readings for me more than maybe once every 3 months or so. And I would beg them all the time to like, oh, it's been a week, please, please do another one for me. But they knew that me, like so many other people, I was trying to find answers in those polls and not like or just try and see if things have changed without actually doing any of the work. So my friend would always be like, no, we just did a big one. You don't have to do one right now. Not because you can't, like you can obviously read however you want, whenever you want, however much you want. But I think it falls back into that wanting it to be a fortune telling device and wanting to see positive changes in that narrative it's telling you. But if you don't do anything to change what's going on in your life, then you can just kind of fall into like that cushion that like, oh, well, the cards have gotten better, so obviously I'm doing things better, and you don't want that.
Right.
So I think doing a daily poll is like for yourself or for a friend if they don't have a deck is really good if it, if that works for you. It's nice to get your mind focused, but I don't typically do big polls very often. I don't usually, even for myself, I don't, you know what I mean? I just kind of, if I feel like I need one, I'll do it. But if not, I'll just stick with the one. Or probably one of the most common is a 3-card poll, which is supposed to be like past, present, future. And that's, more than that, I don't think you need all the time, but you can certainly do it if you want. Just be careful of finding too much meaning in what it's telling you.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because it seems like if you're just constantly doing it, you're not actually, like you said, like living your life or making the changes that you need to change. So, so since we're social distancing, we're doing this over a little video chat here. I've seen ads and I've seen promotions for tarot readers for doing readings over the phone and doing readings over video. Is that possible? Or do you prefer to do it in person, or is one better?
Yeah, I don't think one is better than the other. It's definitely possible, even before our social distanced world that we live in now. I know people who, would read cards professionally and they would do it online. They'd have clients all over the world who would, email that. Even over email I've seen before, where people say, I want a 1-card draw. This is my question. And they email back with a picture of the card and the explanation. And you can really, as long as you're getting that information across to the person who wants it, there's really no limits. Some people say that you should have the person you're reading for shuffle your deck. Other people don't want other people to touch their deck because you do kind of build a connection with the cards, as silly as that sounds maybe. But I'd let you shuffle if you wanted, but if we were together. But I understand where people are coming from, that they don't want, I guess, a lot, that's if then you start getting into energy and thing like that, and we're not going to talk about that today, but it's definitely possible, and right now it's encouraged to do readings while social distancing, so there's nothing wrong with it. It's just getting that information across in a sometimes less personal way, but I don't think this is any less personal than if we were sitting across a table from each other, so.
Yeah. So since it's possible, how about we do an example?
Sure, we can do that. I will say once again, I will be looking up the cards. Like, I'm not gonna just kind of try and come off of it. For anyone who's interested, there's a website called Biddy Tarot. That's where I like to look up my card meanings. They have a lot of really easy to understand descriptions, and they have really pretty art of the cards. I have my own personal deck that I got from Etsy, and so, but really doesn't matter what deck you use or anything like that. It just matters that you're getting the right information. So what we can do is, do you want to do a 1 or a 3?
Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous now. I don't know. Well, I'll do a general reading. So whatever is best for a general. I won't ask any specific questions.
Okay, let's do a 3 just because it's a little more fun.
Okay.
Gives us a little more to talk about. So I'll go ahead and I'll shuffle my deck. It's hard to hold it up here and shuffle, so
shuffle it, right?
You can't see, but I promise you I'm shuffling.
Okay.
And then you just tell me when to stop, and I'll just take the top card.
Okay.
Whenever you want. There's no rush. Okay.
I know, I never know
so,
when to stop. Oh God, is it the tower?
No, I don't know. I haven't looked yet.
Okay.
Oh, it is the tower?
Oh
no! Okay, well, so we got the tower. This is the past, though.
Oh, okay. That's right. We're doing the third card reading.
Yeah, and even though I do know the tower fairly well, I am going to look it up just to give you the, oh, my phone is so bright. I'm going to look it up just to give you, like, what the official...
Okay.
Yeah. So, to Biddy Tarot. I had it up and my phone decided to put it away, so... Okay. So, in the past, remember, the tower usually means sudden change, upheaval, revelations, awakenings. Now that sounds positive. It also means chaos, though. So I hope your past has not been chaotic, Holly.
Well, it's in the past, so
yeah, it's in the past.
It's fine.
So this is the art I have for the tower. Yeah, it's just saying that you've probably, as all of us have had some rough patches in your past, but that doesn't mean that the present and the future aren't going to be better.
Yes. Okay, so now when we continue on with the read, do you put that card back into the deck?
No, you leave it out.
So there we go. So hopefully it's a bright future.
Yes. So I'm going to, normally if you were here, I would have you shuffle it once, and then we would take the top 3 cards, but because you're not here, you can't really shuffle it the way you want. So I'm going to do another reshuffle, and whenever you tell me to stop, I'll take the top card again.
Okay.
So.
I'm like singing the Jeopardy song in my head.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
All right, stop.
Okay. Okay, we have the Chariot, which in this deck it's a VW van, which I love.
I love that.
So far you have 2 major arcana cards, which are supposedly the most powerful, so that's good. Let me just look it up again. Oh, it didn't. I thought I was going to autocomplete the Chariot, and so I just searched the Char. So, you know. Okay. Sometimes my phone doesn't like me, and I apologize to everyone watching this. Okay. So, it's upright as well. That's something I don't think we mentioned. Tarot cards, when you read them, they're either upright or reversed. Reversed obviously usually means the opposite of what the upright means, but not necessarily. That's every card has different meanings depending on if they're upright or reversed. So far yours have both been upright. So this is your present is the Chariot, which means control, willpower, determination, and success. So that's a pretty good present. One thing to remind, and those are just the keywords. So you can, once again on Biddy Tarot, or if you get a book or anywhere, you can, I say scroll because I'm on my phone, but they'll have a more detailed description. So one thing that it says in their longer description is that being in the present with the Chariot, and I'm just going to read this verbatim. These are not my words, just so you know. It says, now isn't the time to be passive in your hope that things will work out in your favor. Take focused action and stick to the course no matter what challenges may come your way. Because, believe me, there will be challenges. You may be pulled in the opposite direction and find your strength and conviction tested. Others may try to block you, distract you, or drag you down in the pursuit of your goal. But the Chariot is an invitation to draw upon your willpower and hone in on what's essential to you so you can push past the obstacles in your way. So see, you can say determination, but then, which if that right there, if you just need that keyword, that is a really good way. Like you don't need more, but sometimes it's really nice to see what the longer description is about.
Yeah, I think I like the longer description of that one.
Yeah, I do too. All right, and now we have the future.
Oh no.
I know. And once again, remember, this is not, I don't know what's going on in your life. I know for me, if this was my reading, I can think of where I would be or what I would be thinking of with these cards, but that's probably exactly different or the opposite of what you might be thinking. And that's why it's good to remember This is not fortune telling or set
Right.
in stone. I mean, if you want it to be, it can be. But this is just a good way of focusing in on life and what's
Yes.
going on for
Yes.
you personally. All right, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. Stop.
Okay. Another upright.
Okay.
Oh, the star. You got 3 major arcana, Holly.
All right. So I'm powerful then, right?
I mean, those are good. They're usually just like the strongest meanings.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but that's how I've always interpreted it.
Okay.
All right, now let me look up the star. I wish, that's one thing, I'm like, oh, I wish I had known what these cards are going to be so I could already have them up, but that's not the point. I don't know what the cards are going to
Right.
be. So, I can't spell star apparently. Okay. So the keywords with the star upright are hope, faith, purpose, renewal, and spirituality. And remember, this is future. So do you want the longer description or I'll give you the longer?
Let's go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I like the keywords, but I feel like the description might be even better.
Yeah. I mean, this is a nice one. I really like the star. It's a card I like a lot. Actually, I like the Chariot a lot too. So I'm like, oh, what good cards. Okay. Oh, and interesting. I didn't know this. See, I'm always learning. The star is the card directly after the tower in the tarot deck.
Okay.
So just saying, it's pretty interesting.
Yes.
Okay. The star brings renewed hope and faith and a sense that you are truly blessed by the universe. You are entering a peaceful, loving phase in your life filled with calm energy, mental stability, and more in-depth understanding of both yourself and the others around you. This is a time of significant personal growth and development as you are now ready to receive the many blessings of the universe. With the star card, anything is possible and the magic is flowing around you. Your heart is full of hope and your soul is being uplifted to the highest of highs as you realize that your dreams really can come true.
Well,
so nice.
That was a great pull.
Yeah, it was. What a great future, see?
Yes.
Very hopeful, which I think is good for the future in general.
In general, yes. I was just going to say that. I'm going to take that reading and I'm going to sprinkle it on to everybody.
I'll take some.
Yes, here you go. It's for everyone. I did that for everyone. So since that was such a good reading, I'm going to end this on a high note. I'm not going to ask any more questions. That's going to be it. So
right.
I hope that everybody enjoyed this video. I hope everyone learned something, got a little interest out of it. And thank you, Sandra, again, for joining me and talking with me and doing the reading.
Yeah, anytime. This was fun. We should do it again.
Maybe in another 3 to 6 months we'll do it.
Yeah.
All right, so I hope everyone enjoyed this. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also check us out on Facebook, check us out on Instagram, check us out on our website, westmontlibrary.org, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.